Big Sales National Football Show. We are going to have on at 5:30 Angelo Cataldi. I can't wait to get his thoughts. Angelo said 5 wins this year. Yeah. So I can't wait to get Garry Cobb on here. But before I do, I want to set this up for Garry. A lot of conversation about the 3rd and 3. Now, I want to tell you what situational football is. Atlanta has no timeouts. Okay? No timeouts. You got 3rd and 3. What's the one thing you cannot have happen? Down there in the red zone with a team that has no timeouts and is down 3. You know what that is? The risk reward. Barkley, who has dropped the ball more than any running back since he's been drafted. You put that player in a position at a high-risk play. Catches it? Sure, get it. But what you do as a play caller and head coach, what's the one play and who's your biggest enemy? It's the clock. Here's what you do. You run the ball. Instead, you know what happened? You gave Atlanta a timeout. You gave them a timeout with a defense that was a sieve all day long. Couldn't stop the run, couldn't stop the pass. An experienced guy in Cousins. Not that he's great. Any quarterback in the league, though, with time. Sam Darnold's going to complete passes. He's 2-0. You know what you do, too? If you think it out thoroughly, you run the ball, clock starts, right? You burn 30 seconds off. What happens then? You line up for 4th down. Clock starts again. Atlanta can't stop the ball. You, in theory, take off 60 seconds of the clock. Call timeout. You had one left. You kick a field goal, and you make them have to go 35. You make them have to go 75 yards in 54 seconds instead of a minute, 40 seconds. You tell me what's harder. God, it's been in that situation. Now, Garry may disagree with me. Now, look, is Barkley accountable for missing the pass? Of course he is. But you put players as a good coach in positions to win. Tom Brady runs the ball. Tom Brady puts Adam Vinatieri at the end of a football game in a field goal position for Jake Elliott to kick it and try to kick a 60-yarder or a 58, 59-yarder to try to win it. His top was 61. Give him a shot. It's a higher percentage play than a Hail Mary. That's 2 minutes, man, in the half. And at the end of the game, that's the difference between championship football and winning ball games. Let's bring Garry Cobb in here from Fox 29. That goes down in the line, Garry, as a colossal disaster that resembles a lot of 23 and what we saw yesterday and last night there. Let's start with that 3rd and 3, in your opinion. Was it the right play call?
Well, clearly, of course, looking back, of course, you can see that it wasn't the way things worked out. But that's where the coach, see, as a player, yeah, I can do it. You're going to be in the coaches. I can do it. But the coach has to say, okay, what is the safest? I mean, how can we be sure? I mean, if we got something we can be sure of, we know we're going to go in that direction. And, your point, which is a great point, but the fact, see now, he's just getting to know Saquon. Now, Saquon is an outstanding player. But when you're talking about, I don't know how much he's dropped the ball. I don't know how many times.
Right, Garry, most of any running back since he's been drafted.
I mean, right there. So right away, if you got to know your guy and go, look, we believe in Saquon, but maybe not in that situation. We're not sure of everything. But the way they did it is it's like you got a great pass receiving running back. Now, he's capable of making a great play.
Yes.
We know, the sky's the limit with him. But you got to know your players. And you got to look at it and say, we're playing to win. Pride is out the door. We're not trying to be pride. And clearly, they made a mistake because you do not, especially the way the defense was playing. Come on, the defense is horrible.
Oh.
I mean, you got guys, those safeties were lined up What?
25 yards deep. Troy
Come on.
Aikman, dude, Gary, the corners were 15, and then the safeties were 25. Troy Aikman in the broadcast was going, "You guys are way too deep back there, man."
Come on. Wait, they're not even in the game. I mean, come on. It was just ridiculous how wide open those guys were when they ran those routes and things. I tell you, and the thing about it is I don't like about the defense is they're playing scared, man. You got to be aggressive. The coach is going to tell you to play, but that was just, I mean, oh man, I tell you, that game there, boy, getting blown out, where you lose. Come on, you got to win that game, man. Come on, winning team wins that game in the situation they were in, and they got to know their defense. And Nick has to know. Look, the defense has been playing horrible. They didn't stop them. The only time that the Falcons were stopped, the Falcons stopped themselves. Where he can't throw the ball to a wide open receiver, and the pass rush. Look, man,
wow.
I mean, that kid that they got, they put that kid on a give him a bus ticket, man.
Gary, did you see that guy trying to set the edge, Bryce Huff, and he was getting blown up by tight ends, not even tackles? I mean,
I know.
Do you know that he had 2 games has 0 hits on the quarterback?
I know. I mean, I was just looking at him. I was, I got the game over here. I can look at the replay. And I'm looking at, man, the tight ends are throwing him around. I'm going, I didn't know this kid was that bad. This kid can't play.
He can't play.
I mean, I hate to say it, man. You see with the tackles, he doesn't get any penetration. The guy's throwing him around, man. And then I saw the tight ends throwing him around. I'm going, why? Who was it that saw this guy when they got to have him? Man, makes you think that, they should give Hassan Reddick his money.
$17.8 million and $51 million they gave that guy, and they projected him to be a 3rd down guy. 3 down guy.
But the kid, he's got to show something to me. But right now, what I saw, this kid can't play, man. He's getting thrown around. Like I said, they have the tight end blocking him and throwing him around. I'll tell you, that was really disappointing. But, looking at the whole game, of course, everybody played a role in it. You could go through it. And, of course, one of the big things is going into the game. See, at the start with the 3 points, look, A.J. Brown is not playing. Why are you not taking the 3 points? What you guys think you're such a great team? Take the 3 points, man. I mean, come on. It started off there. Coach, take the 3 points. You got it right there. What do you think you guys are? Coach, you don't have A.J. Brown. Your best receiver you do not have.
Your best player.
Yeah. He's not there. Well, then you got to look at things differently then. And you could see they're not the same team without him. Come on.
That offense is just putrid without him. I mean, with all the things that you say there, I mean, do you know, Gary, that they didn't have 1 plus 20-yard completion in that ball game last night, and they don't have AJ out there, like you said, and you're passing up points, and you're not doing situational play calling. I personally didn't think Kellen Moore called a good game last night. I saw Jalen play
I didn't think that was a good game.
I thought Jalen played like he did in 22. I thought his legs were the determining factor on what kept him in it, right?
Yeah. Those scrambles, come on. Those weren't called plays.
No.
He took off and he made plays out there, on those initial drives. He made plays, with his legs. And you could see when he dropped back and he's not really sure what he's going with the ball. And he's not confident anybody's going to be open. Now, unfortunately, on that last interception, he came out of the huddle saying, hey, I'm going to throw the ball to Devontae on this corner route. And, and that was the interception. But, he carried the team in the first half. I mean, most of the game, it was Jalen making plays or they weren't doing anything. I mean, and, you had Saquon, he got going early, but then they kind of stopped that. They kind of stopped that running, slowed that running game down. So then it's basically Jalen, trying to get the ball to Devontae because it didn't seem like anybody else was very effective out there. So that was really disappointing. But I just thought that he didn't coach. Coach didn't do a good job there. You go into the game. You got to change your mindset when you don't have your best offensive player. Come on, don't act like you're the same team, because you're not the same team, and clearly they're not the same team without him.
No, they're not.
They're not the same team.
They're not. They're not close. And I gotta bring this up with you, Gary. Boy, I'll tell you something. Nolan Smith can't play. Those two D tackles should be embarrassed. I mean, you've given up 318 yards in 2 games rushing the ball.
I mean, guys just flying through the middle of your defense. How could you be letting people run through your defense like that? These guys are with holes. They're not getting off blocks. I think that, I mean, as much as they talk about the coach, come on, isn't that some of that coaching?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't seem like. Look how bad the defense was. Great defensive coordinator. Where at? I mean, I don't see it. I mean, I don't want to just be blasting people, but I'm looking at they're running plays with the running back just blasting up the middle,
gassing running plays. I mean, you're right, Gary, about passing blame around here, but let me take it back to the architect here then. It's one thing to draw a scheme up, but Gary, you and I have been saying this about this defense. You can't cover it with inexperience and trash can linebackers just to say that you think a scheme is going to cover it. You're inexperienced. That last drive, who did Cousins target? He targeted Quinyon Mitchell. Yeah. Because Quinyon was far off the ball. The scheme didn't fit what they were doing. He knew they'd be wide open. Yeah. They were non-contested throws on the numbers with minutes in the game with no timeouts. That's a cardinal sin
right.
that you're doing that. Right. You're not even pressing anybody. You can't stop the run. And my point was, well, what did you really think? Nolan Smith has shown you he can't play. Bryce Huff is showing you he is not even a situational pass rusher right now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no pressure. There's no pressure defending the run. I mean, Gary, does this get better in your opinion? I mean, can the offense help them by look at what they did? And Gary, they held the Falcons to 58 plays. The week before, they held the Packers to 45 plays. I mean, they're doing their job.
Yeah.
Most teams have 65 to 70 plays a game. Can you imagine if the Falcons and the Packers had what the Eagles did with 70 plays? They would have put a 10 spot on them and beat them by 10.
Yeah. I tell you, I been very disappointed, I mean, very disappointed in the defense.
In Vic or in the talent or both?
Both. I mean, I can't say he's doing a good job. He put these guys out there and they're just getting gassed. Then on that last drive, these guys are wide open, man. I mean, wide open guys are open. I mean, with the game on the line, I mean, you got your safeties playing. The game is in Nebraska, and they're in Ohio. I mean, what I'm going like, look at what these guys are lining up at. And, I know they've got to be really angry, man, because, losing a game like that where, it's a game you should win, but you play that poorly. I mean, that's not a good, I mean, defensively, would I say that's a good defense?
Absolutely
no.
Not. And by the way, when you look at Atlanta, Gary, when you look at Atlanta, that was a game that you were like, we're going to win that game. I mean,
come on, we got to beat Atlanta.
You got to beat Atlanta. You can't beat Atlanta. You're in trouble.
Hey, you know that. The thing is, he's throwing the ball and missing people. There were guys open. He's missing them. Flat out, wide open. He's just missing guys. So you got that, man. Really, I tell you, boy, that was very concerning. You got a offense, when AJ gets healthy and stuff, you got that offense. They got to score points. We saw that in the first game. I guess, in order to beat people, they're going to have to really have a big year, man, because the way the defense is playing, I mean, where do you see them getting better? I haven't seen anything really that they're really stopping. What are they stopping?
No, nothing. There's nothing where you have a positive. There's nothing positive in the first 120 minutes of football in the NFL. First 8 quarters of the season, there's nothing positive on defense.
Nothing positive because they can't stop the run. I mean, they got gashed the first game. They got gashed the second game. Plus, there's no pass rush. Where's the pass rush at? They got 1 sack, and they go, we got 1 sack. I mean, the guy's not under any pressure. He's back there patting the ball. Look how he was patting the ball last night. This really is concerning, man. I tell you, it's really
I want to bring some stats up to you here about Hurts since Buffalo of last year. He's 2-7 since last year. Listen to these numbers here. 178 completions, 279 attempts for 63-8 completion, 1872. Now listen to this. 9 TDs, 8 interceptions. Rushing, 70 attempts, 318 yards, 4.5 yards a carry, 5 TDs, 5 fumbles. In the last games in that time frame from Buffalo, he has 14 combined touchdowns and 11 total turnovers. Is he now in the position where in the last 18 ball games, he's got 24 turnovers? This is not getting better. This is now, like you and me know, Garry, that's a trend.
Yeah, that is a trend. And, you see the uncertainty, times when he drops, he's got that uncertainty. And, of course, like I said, we can't put everything on A.J. missing. We can't put everything on there. You got to have things and plays you can run that you feel confident about. And I got to say, this is a kind of it definitely was a disappointing game, and I'm trying to find something good about it. I can't find anything good. I mean, this is just you losing to an inferior team, a team that was trying to lose. I mean, Atlanta's not a good team. Come on, that's not a good football team.
They got holes everywhere.
But the defense really, even as bad as the offense was, the defense. I mean, come on, who the way they let them go down the field on that last drive, you're going like, man, now is that winning football? I mean, you don't see the quarterback. He might as well be out there with a red jersey on, like practice.
Hey, I mean, really, Garry, they got Atlanta. I mean, they got now New Orleans and Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave, who have put up over 90 points in 2 games. And get this, here's a stat about New Orleans. They've had 14 drives this year so far. They've scored on every one of them. And I'll tell you what, that's a team I think people thought we were going to see a year ago.
Yeah.
Well, it's arrived this year. And it doesn't matter if you're Carolina or Dallas. They're waxing teams right now. And you thought Bijan Robinson was good?
I know.
Alvin Kamara had 4 TDs this last game against Dallas, and he wasn't touched.
Yeah, I know. They made Dallas look like, like they were scrubs. And I thought, after that first week, I thought Dallas had a good defense. They made the Dallas defense look like, some high school team that you're scrimmaging, I mean, that was bad. I mean, I hope they got an answer for this, but they definitely, who knows? Hopefully, maybe this is the answer. They know they could get humiliated. They better show up ready to play. And you just got to get guys playing better on that defensive front. That's not pro football, man. That is just not going to get it done where you just let guys run at full speed through your defense. They did it the first game, and now they did it the second game, where you got a guy taking a handoff. He's running full speed right up the gut of your defense.
Garry, how about this one here, too, that, I couldn't believe what I heard Aikman say this last night, and it was confirmed this morning that it looks like A.J. Brown is going to be out multiple weeks now, and that he's going to miss this New Orleans game, potentially the Bucs game. Now, the way the Bucs are 2-0, they went up to Detroit and won that game up there. Yeah. They look better. You want to hear something since December 3rd of last year? The Buccaneers are 10-2 since last year, and a win over the Eagles in the playoff game. I think it's 10-3 that they are since December 6th of a year ago. And you got this New Orleans team that's as hot as a fire iron here. I mean, no A.J. Brown going into this game. The way that defense is playing, you could potentially go into the bye 1-3.
They got to buckle up those helmets and, off that offensive line, they got to lean on them and say, hey, look, we need you guys to take over this game because I don't know what they're going to do on the defensive side because they got to find some answers. But offensively, they need them. They're going to need to run the football, control the game, take the ball away from New Orleans, and just eat up the clock and things because till the defense starts playing better, man. I mean, how are they going to – you look at the way that the Falcons, were able to do against them. I mean, can they stop this New Orleans team, the defense we have?
No way.
And they got to find some answers. I don't,
Hey, I want to show you
something. It's going to be a challenge.
I want to show you something else here, and I've been goofing around here with this. That's what you and I know as a line of scrimmage. Maybe somebody should show this to Cam Jurgens, that he understands what a line of scrimmage is, not going down the field, because 9 penalties in the ball game too.
Yeah.
And some of those penalties were drive-killing penalties with a legal man down the field. That's some of the stuff that Jalen was talking about with the little things. And here, this is being reported by Jeff McClain. I didn't realize this, but Jalen Carter didn't start the game. You know why? Because he missed a team practice, or he was late for it over the weekend, and he was late. And so Vic didn't start him last night because of a disciplinary issue of him missing a team meeting or a team practice at the beginning of it. So they benched him for the opening series. I mean, some people will go, that's little stuff. Well, that's attention to detail. This is a league that you have to be attention to detail.
Right. And he's one of your best players. So, you got to have your captains, the leaders of the team, sit him down and talk to him. That they need him. Come on, he's got to grow up, and he got to grow up right now because they need him to be a dominant player. Look how much they need him on that defense. Because right now, it doesn't look like. I mean, that's not NFL football. The way that defense is playing and getting having somebody run the ball against you like that. I mean, we're talking about some other things, but my goodness, that's a fundamental thing: is being able to get off blocks and make tackles. And I don't know how many defensive players over there do you see really doing a good job of that, getting off the block, because there's going to be somebody responsible for blocking you on every play. You got to get off the block and make the tackle. That is the game. Now, if you can't do that well, then you're not a good defensive player. So I'm looking at those guys. How many guys over there do you see getting off blocks and making a tackle?
There's not one player on that team that could play in Kansas City right now. They don't have one player on that team that could play on a contender that's playing good enough football where you would slug him in and say, here, you can play here. Not one guy. Even Slay getting torched. What killed me at the end of that play there with Slay was that he was watching the quarterback and not watching his keys. Gary, what the one thing that you and I are told by great coaches is this: don't ever watch the ball. The ball will take you away from the play. Watch your keys. It'll take you to the ball.
That's right.
And there he was peeking in the backfield.
Well, he got sloppy. He
got behind him.
He got sloppy there. That's fundamentally unsound. And that's when you're going to get tricked. And sure as day, he got tricked. He's looking in the backfield rather than looking at the guy he's got to cover. Especially whoever comes outside, because he's sitting outside. He's going to take the guy coming outside. So that was really that was tough to watch, man. That really was tough to watch, to see this team, because they got to find some answers, and I'm wondering where they're going to go to find them.
No, absolutely. Last one here for you. Something interesting in the press conference, and I think this is the dynamic that you and I talked about that we don't like. So Nick Sirianni was asked again the press conference after the game. He goes, "Hey, who's the guy calling the plays?" And he goes, "Hey, you want to bring that up again? Kellen's calling the plays." Now, he was handling the timeouts and the time they're going at the end of the game and going into the half. You're looking at two guys that are not on the same page, because how are you not talking to your quarterback, Musmeyer, and Jalen Hurts if you're Nick going, listen, let's get into field goal position. Don't take those big chunk plays down the field. We've got a kicker that's kicked from 61 yards. All we need is 13 yards to take a shot with a high percentage play on a field goal. Also down there in that 3rd and 3. Don't you have a conversation about that?
That's
about
right.
Talking about it there.
Yeah.
Aren't you and the coordinator on the same page? Isn't that the head coach's responsibility?
That's right.
To be communicating with all those guys, the quarterback. it almost seems that he's been taken so far out of the mix that he's almost like afraid in game to have those conversations. Because
that's a good point.
didn't that look confusing to you?
It did. It did. I mean, you need to sit down and I mean, they need to stand there and talk to each other and make sure that, especially you look like you're headed to this situation. So they should start the conversation. This is what we're thinking of doing. Or he goes over there and he's talking to the coach and tell him, hey, look, this is what I'm thinking. What are you thinking? And you got to be communicating, and obviously that things didn't work out. I mean, if you're going to decide to go for that play, now I could see there are teams that would go ahead and say, okay, we believe in these two guys that we're going to run this play. We believe we're going to get this touchdown and this game is going to be over. And it was there for the taking. I mean, but you had him, he kind of took his eyes off the ball and the ball's on the ground. And then you can see basically where obviously they're not on the same page. And obviously, this team has got some problems, boy. Really.
How about this, Gary? What gave that away to me was I'm watching Cincinnati and Kansas City, and I'm watching Patrick Mahomes get that Buckner guy in position to kick a game-winning field goal at the end of the game. Yeah. And it reminded me of Brady when he beat the Rams, when Madden saying, "What is he doing? What is he doing?" And all he was doing was trying to get the best field goal kicker in the NFL's all-time leading scorer in a position to have a high percentage shot at kicking a field goal. And there lies the difference in a Hail Mary pass versus a high percentage opportunity at winning a game.
Yeah.
There's a difference, in my opinion, in football IQ. Yeah. I call that, it doesn't have to be talent, Gary. It's football IQ of where you are on the field at moments like that. I still think he's got a long way, because Jake Elliott's one of the best kickers in the game. If that's me, I'm giving him a shot at 57 yards to kick that field goal at home.
That's right. Yeah, they definitely got greedy there on that last play. I mean, because he's throwing it out there, and what is it? You're looking for a 20, 25-yard gain?
It was a 35-yard down the field pass.
And really, as good as Devontae is, Devontae's not outrunning anybody.
No.
I mean, so, and the safety sitting over there, they got the safety sitting over there. I might have, tried to get the ball to Goddard on, give me 6, 7, 10 yards to Goddard or something, because he's going to be single covered. But that's the kind of thing where clearly that throw, that's why I say he kind of had probably made up his mind when he came out of huddle. He's going to Devontae on that throw, and you got it up there in the air. They're looking at him. They know that's probably where you're going, and I think you got to think about, is there somewhere else you can go on a shorter throw, something that is, even if you get it to Devontae on a shorter throw, but you're trying to go for a situation where you want to make him a comfortable field goal rather than, look, he's supposed to be good. We got to take care of the football. Now, that's the thing. They got to be playing smarter football going forward. I mean, they really got to play smarter. But the biggest problem that I see on this team is defensively, that defensive front. If they don't get it together, man, you got a major problem on this team. And I thought they were better than that defensively.
I did too, man. I just, I look at all the issues that they have on that team.
Because see, if you can't stop the run like that,
it's over.
Then that sets up everything else, and then you can't rush the passer either. They can't stop the run, and they can't rush the passer.
Gary, I want to sneak this last one in on you. Dallas Goedert. Dude, where is this guy?
I know.
He's $15 million a year, and you're throwing 6 passes for 23 yards to Britton Covey. Those 23 yards are meaningless. They're meaningless throws that are not going to fool Raheem Morris. You're not fooling a guy who's won a Super Bowl as a coordinator. You're not fooling him. He's not buying Britton Covey. Goddard, I would.
That's right.
How come Goddard in the last year and a half has not been part of this offense?
I know he's not the kind of guy to make any noise. And of course, when AJ's healthy and everything, he knows that most of the time he's not one of the top targets. But I think in a game like that, before the game, he should have went to them and told them, look, hey, I'm here. Yeah. I can help this team. Or he's talking to Jalen and letting him know, look, because, as I talked about, like a 10-yard gain, some of those gains in there would have put them in a situation where they could have put more points on the board. But going into the game, they got to be thinking totally different. See, and this is where he plays into it too, which is if AJ's not there, then you got to say, okay, we got to be thinking more Dallas. We're going to get Dallas involved in this game. They got to be going into the game thinking that way. And then again, going back to that easy 3 they had, we don't have AJ in this game. We don't even think we're going to score 40 points. We need to take these 3. So you're thinking differently. But see, clearly, even though AJ wasn't in the game, they didn't make an adjustment and say, AJ's not playing. AJ's not out here. We don't have the same offense we have when he's here. They don't have the same offense. So they got to be thinking differently. So you would have took the 3 points. Come on. Who do you think you are? Oh, we don't need the 3. We're going to get down. No. And then in the red zone, you think you're so confident of your passing game, you're going to get it in there without your best receiver. Come on. They're not the same team without him,
Hey, Gary, how about this too? That Dotson, 25 pass routes, 1 catch. I mean, hey, you gave
I don't know that.
You gave a 3rd rounder up for him.
Yeah, I know. But, going in there, see, Jalen's got to be confident in him, see. That's something that I don't know.
So he's not confident in anybody else but AJ?
No, I think he's confident in some of the other guys, but I know like with Dotson though, I don't know if he's confident in him. I don't know. But clearly they didn't get the job done. That's the bottom line.
No doubt, man.
That was very frustrating. But the thing is, that defensive front, man, I don't know, man. Golly. How could they be that bad?
Hey, man, they were getting blown up by tight ends on the perimeter. They couldn't set the edge to save their life.
Yep.
And the 2 tackles. I knew Atlanta's O-line was a top 5 unit, but I didn't realize that they would dominate the Philadelphia Eagle front 7 the way they did. They dominated them. They knocked them off the ball, Gary. And they never got pressure. 2 things that you're looking at to have a win if you're an offensive line. That's to run the ball down their throat for 150 some odd yards and have a game-winning drive at the end on the road with no timeouts. Your offensive line won that game. Absolutely. Gary, I appreciate it. Should be a hell week in Philadelphia this week. Boy, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of asses on the line going into that New Orleans game. I'll tell you that, man. Hey, there's some people's seats that are awful hot right now.
Man, and you got New Orleans.
The way hottest team in the league.
Man.
Hey, and another NFC team that's fighting out for, but that now they're in the conversation where teams are looking at this going like this with New Orleans. Hey, could they win home field advantage because they play in the NFC South? I mean,
I know.
Could they win 12, 13 ball games this year?
Wow.
Holy cow.
Has this thing turned upside down immediately, with like Dallas getting beat like that, the Eagles getting beaten.
Niners got beat. Right. How about this? Who would have thought this? Right now, after week 2, you got the Vikings, the Bucks, and the Saints looking better than the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Niners.
Woo!
What an NFL.
And really, think about some of these injuries, man. Look at the injuries the Niners have got.
Yep, Debo Samuel,
that's right.
Chris McCaffrey.
They got problems. So the Eagles aren't the only ones with problems, but, man, they got problems. Both of these teams got problems, boy.
I'll tell you that. Gary, I appreciate it. Catch you next week. Thank you so much, my friend.
All right, have a good one.
The great Garry Cobb from Fox 29 covering the Philadelphia Eagles, former Eagle himself. We appreciate it very much. Don't forget, Angelo Cataldi will join us at 5:30 Eastern. Can't wait for that. Where are we on the like list, my friend? You guys have been absolutely sensational today, too. I mean, I appreciate it. And listen, I know some of you have been in here sending me, hey, Sills, you were right. Guys, this is about having a good football team to cover. Okay, 344. Guys, let's see if we can get to 400. Angelo Cataldi will be with us in a couple minutes. Angelo picked this team to win 5 games. 5 games. Xander picked it to win 20 games. I'm kidding. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Xander's the ultimate optimist with his team. He's not surrendering yet. I don't blame him. But last night, a game like that makes it hard not to sit there and adjust yourself. Not today, I ain't. Hit the like button. Keep it here. Angelo Cataldi, bottom of the hour. Keep it here, National Football Show.